About a year ago, I took a job as a pizza delivery guy, just for some extra cash after starting my college studies. It wasn't bad most nights, and the pay was reasonably good, but I sure as hell wasn't saying that. After one particular night on the job, I'd been working for the pizza place for about a month when it all happened. It was a Friday night. My friends were having drinks at a party near campus, but I had to work and said I'd join them when I finished my shift if they were still awake. Anyway, I was sent on a delivery in the neighborhood, so I took the car and off I went with the food. I remember thinking it was a lot. There must be quite a big group of people at the address I was going to. So I pulled up outside the house, and it was late. There was no one around on the streets, and it was dark out. The house I was delivering to looked a little old, quite run down and dated. It was rather creepy to look at through the thick darkness of the night. But I grabbed all of the food and I went to the door, only to be slightly confused when I reached the porch and saw that the door was actually ajar just a crack. It had been really late, like 12:30 at night. Why would someone leave their front door open at that hour? I remember knocking and just getting a strange, niggling feeling of unease as I called out. But I was polite. I said hello and explained that I was from the pizza place, but no one answered. So I knocked again and I spoke again, just assuming that maybe they hadn't heard me the first time. It was an oddly drawn-out delay, but a man's voice eventually responded to me. He called out to me and explained that his mobility wasn't the greatest, and if I minded bringing the food into the kitchen for him. Apparently that's why he had previously opened the door while moving around to stretch his legs. I thought it was weird, and even more so when I thought that it sounded like he was alone in there, with so much food having been ordered. But I tried to shake off the feeling that the situation was bizarre. Even in his voice he had sounded a little frail. He must be an older guy that just struggled. I was cautious, and I remember thinking about how I really didn't want to go inside. But I'd feel really bad if some old dude was in there and had to struggle to get his food because I'd selfishly left it on the porch and refused to help him out by bringing it into the house. So I did as he asked of me. I went into the house with the food. I remember being even more confused when I saw that there were literally no lights on inside at all. It was pitch black, and I could hardly see anything as I moved a fraction further into the hallway. I called out for the guy again, and he answered by insisting I put the food in the kitchen. I really hadn't felt comfortable after that. There was just something about the whole situation that wasn't sitting right with me. I put all of the food down in the hallway, and I said I was leaving. But, to my horror, I wasn't going to be given that chance so easily. The front door slammed shut behind me and I freaked out. There was no way the man had closed the door. His voice was coming from somewhere else entirely. Someone else was there, in the shadows. I could make out their male-like figure in the dark. I stumbled with the shock of what was happening and fell to my left, onto some carpeted steps that I quickly understood were part of the staircase. I didn't know what else to do as the other man came at me, so I kicked him hard in the groin and scrambled up the second floor of the house. I could hear the other man who had been insisting I bring his food inside. He was demanding in a raspy and hushed voice that the other guy get me, and fast. I started to yell for help, knowing that my life was totally in danger now. I didn't know what those people wanted with me, but I was not about to back down and find out. I had to fight my way out, whatever way that was going to be. As I bolted upstairs and away from the broad man pursuing me, I pushed my way into what I quickly saw to be a bedroom. I didn't have much time because I could hear him coming after me, as he'd obviously recovered from the blow of my foot. I hastily opened a wooden closet and was thankful when I saw it was empty. I climbed inside and I tried so hard to be quiet, to steady my breathing and my nerves. The guy who hadn't spoken at that point had been hot on my tail. He got upstairs pretty fast, and soon enough, he was in the same bedroom that I had been hiding in. The freak downstairs was yelling crazily now for the guy to catch me, to get me down to the basement and fast. I was utterly terrified. I had no idea what their intentions were to be. I honestly thought I was going to die that night, in some horrific way. I could see through the small crack of the closet that the guy was casing the room, slowly and carefully. And then, my heart had began to pound to ridiculous levels when he moved to the closet I was in. I could hear his breath, his hunger to get his hands on me. When I saw his shadowy figure get even closer, I didn't think twice about slamming that closet door so hard into his face with a force I didn't even know I was capable of. He had doubled back in pain, and he fell against the bed, and I took that opportunity to run like I had never done before. I fled for my life. I bounded back down those stairs without looking back to see if he was behind me. I had never been so thankful for a door to be unlocked. He hadn't secured the front door when he slammed it shut, and I escaped. I was out. I was alive. The old psycho had been shouting, furious that I was gone, that I had escaped their sinister clutches. I reached the delivery car and shakily managed to pull my keys from the pocket of my jeans. When I was finally speeding away from that harrowing house, I caught a flash glimpse of the guy who had chased me upstairs, coming to a regretful stop when he came to terms with the fact he couldn't catch my car. I couldn't believe what had happened to me that night. Still, to this day, I think about how luck had been unbelievably on my side that night. If that door hadn't been left carelessly unlocked, then I don't know what the outcome might have been. I don't want to know. I notified the police about everything, and I quit my job as a delivery driver. I think that traumatic events certainly turned me off of the idea of bringing any more food to strangers' houses in the dead of night. What those two creeps were planning to do to me in that basement doesn't bear thinking about. I don't talk about it often. The thought of different endings to that night sent chills down my spine. They always will, I think.